This is the Tuesday devotion. We're back on Melrose Mountain at higher ground, Tryon, North Carolina. The temperature is 72 degrees, and it's about 2:30 in the afternoon, so a little overcast. My wife says it's damp and cold. Don't tell them that. You won't tell them that, I guess is what she said. Joshua brings back a lot of memories for me. One of my favorite books, and a lot of good lessons in there. I know a lot of you probably wonder sometimes about God's timing. It just seems like sometimes timing is all wrong. And I think that Joshua is a very good book to demonstrate that God's timing is always perfect, even if it doesn't seem like it is. John Maxwell, who's a famous writer and Bible scholar, once said, "God never failed me, but he sure scared me to death a few times." I think some of us can relate to that pretty well. I know that a lot of Bible characters could. And Moses got to the Red Sea before it was parted. Didn't part it before he got there. It was a last minute kind of thing. And Paul, many times it was a last minute kind of thing, whether it was shipwreck or being lowered over a wall in a city. It seems like it was always a last minute kind of thing. And lots of times God moves just barely before he has to in order for us to be okay. So we know God's timing is always right, even when it doesn't seem like it's the right timing, even when it may seem like it's almost too late, or the circumstances are not perfect for what we're thinking about doing. I've had to apologize to God a couple of times about not moving forward when he said to, because the outward conditions look like it was not the right time to move. And I'm afraid a lot of pastors run into that same dilemma where they are being asked by God to move forward on a certain program or project or purchase or whatever it might be for the church, and conditions don't seem right, the economy's bad, whatever it might be, and they hold back and they miss out on the best that God had in store for them. And I'm afraid that I was probably guilty of that at one time at Southside, when we had an opportunity to purchase a home and land surrounding the church. But we had just started the beginning of a building program for a whole new sanctuary, and it just didn't seem like the right time. Kicked myself a number of times after that we didn't take advantage of that opportunity. Anyway, Joshua chapter 3, verses 6 and 7 tells us about the preparation for crossing over the Jordan into the promised land. Moses is dead. Joshua's taken the leadership role. God's been preparing them. And chapter 3, verse 8, it tells us that they're to have the priests take the Ark of the Covenant, and tells them to actually stand in the Jordan. Chapter 3, verse 13, it tells them when the soles of their feet are in the water, then God will move. Now, what's really interesting is when you look at chapter 3, verse 15, because it tells us there that everything would say that the people of Israel should have waited to cross the Jordan, because in verse 15 it tells us that it was the time of harvest when the Jordan overflows its banks, that the water could be raging down the Jordan River and would be at its deepest time and not its easiest time to cross over. And yet we find in chapter 3, verse 17, that the priest, when they were obedient and put their feet literally into the water, God backed up the water, and then we see that the priests are standing right in the middle of the Jordan on dry ground. There's several lessons that I think I learned as I studied this passage of Scripture and as I presented this message. One is, don't be in too much of a hurry. God could have taken the nation of Israel across the Jordan River before this, but he prepared Joshua, the priests, and the people. So don't be in too much of a hurry. The second thing is, move when God says to move, even if the circumstances don't seem right. The economy's not right. The atmosphere doesn't seem right. If God says to move forward, move forward. Also, I believe the third thing that you should learn is that God is with you. He's not going to guide you or tell you to go someplace that he's not going to go right there with you. Number 4, you need to stay clean and ready to go. And the people of Israel had to get ready to go across the Jordan River. Number 6, or 5 rather, I guess, sometimes you have to get your feet wet. You see, the Jordan River didn't back up, not even a little bit, didn't even go down in its overflowing its banks until the priest's feet were in the water. And sometimes we have to get our feet wet before we are going to see God move. The next one is, conditions may seem contrary to what we're being asked to do, but God is greater than any conditions in any situation. And finally, God will get you through. His timing is always perfect. Let me say that again for you. Sometimes we forget this. God's timing is always perfect. If he's the one that's telling you to move forward, not your own ego or pride, or not somebody else pushing you, but when he tells you, his timing is always perfect. Hope you'll remember that. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day. Sorry you don't have 72-degree weather. See ya.